Hello my YouTube friends, how are you today? Today I have a video that's gonna pop up that's different. It's not music, but it is something that is dear to my heart and touches my heart. Now, I mean no hate. I'm not that kind of person, and I just want to point out some things. This person is the complete opposite of what I do, and it was sent to me, and thank you, whoever sent it. And I'm gonna shoot this out. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this video, but I don't send out hate. I just gonna send out the facts. Now, I'm gonna stop it a lot and say a few things, just a few things, to let you all stay on top of it with me as best I can. So let's go ahead and start this video on this guy.
For anyone who doesn't know you, who are you and what do you do for a living?
What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, and I slang dogs.
All right, guys.
Okay, so what that means is slinging dog J ZZ. He's a hardcore dog breeder. He's a hardcore dog breeder. Dogs that are very dear to my heart. Dogs that are in our county shelter. Dogs that are in our rescue now. And dogs that have the most health problems. Let's watch.
Today we have our first Beyond the Boardroom video. I've been so stoked to get this channel started and going, but it's been kind of difficult to get like that first guest because we have no reputation behind us. But luckily I hit up one of my good friends, Anthony. He's like one of the #1 dog breeders in the entire world. Like, this dude is making more money than anyone else breeding dogs. It's the craziest thing. French Bulldogs in particular, one of the most humble guys I know. Right, he's got McLaren 600 LT, he's got a C8. Told me next car, I think he wants a GT3 RS, as far as I can remember our last conversation. So maybe we'll talk to him about that today. But without further ado, let's introduce him. So for anyone who doesn't know you, who are you and what do you do for a living?
What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, otherwise known as Envious Frenchies, and I breed French Bulldogs for a living.
Second question, what is the most amount of money you've made in a single month and the most amount of money you've made in a single year?
$250 in a month.
That's crazy.
And in a year, it's been upwards of over 1, less than 5. I'll just leave it at that, you know.
And it's been strictly from French Bulldogs?
All dogs.
And it's all dogs?
All dogs.
That's crazy.
Okay, right off, did you notice the home? Well, the home we're gonna notice. Did you notice the cars? This guy this guy is a complete opposite of what I'm fighting for. In my county, he could not live here and do that. It would be a misdemeanor, without a doubt. No warning, automatic misdemeanor. After that, you just move up the ladder. Eventually, you become a felon.
So a lot of people might think about the breeding industry, they might think it's like kind of easy money. What are all the factors that play into creating such a high income in this industry?
So with the French Bulldogs in specific, they cannot naturally whelp, they can't naturally breed, so everything is artificial.
Lie. Or maybe he doesn't know. Let me go there. I don't want to sound mean. I don't want hate. He's a big dog breeder, and that just hurts the heart as it is. And I'll tell you the reasons why later. However, not true. My daughter has 3 French Bulldogs. 3. The first one, now they are the #1 top dog that has the most health issues is a French Bulldog. After that comes the Bulldog. So she bought, her first dog was a female, beautiful little black female, who was healthy puppy growing up, but my daughter has a home that is nice and cool because they don't handle humidity well. They do not handle winters well that are very cold. They do have a hard time breathing because the more pushed in the nose is, the harder it is for the dog to breathe. That is a given with French Bulldogs. You cannot walk your French Bulldog down my street right now because heat exhaustion, can't breathe, just can't regulate temperature. They have a hard time with that. So what he said, they cannot breed on their own. I got a little off topic because this is dear to my heart. They can. She bought a female. The female grew up. She was like, I think her female, and at the end I'm going to insert a picture of the 3 French Bulldogs that my daughter owns. They're beautiful. But they all have health problems. So the first thing he's talking about where they can't breed on their own, oh yes they can. And oh yes they do. They will. Look, horses can go out on a pasture and they can breed on their own. They don't need our help. People just want to get involved and help. He buys semen, or has the male semen, and somehow has the veterinarian inject it into the female, of course, through her reproductive system, because he firmly believes that they cannot breed on their own. Yes, indeed, French Bulldogs can breed on their own. They just can't give birth on their own. They'll have to go through a C-section because the head is too big on the pup. They're a very, very, very expensive dog to own. Don't forget that. To own. And mainly health problems. But let's start off the bat right there. They'll breed on their own. My daughter had it happen. It was an accident. She created her female when she got a male, a beautiful male, a tan male, and she's kind of a blue-black. She looks black in pictures, but she's more of a blue-black. And she got her first. She went to season. The male was so young still, not neutered yet, and guess what? Right through the crate. They mated right through the crate. She has a nanny cam in her home, and she was shocked, and she called me. What do I do? Do I abort them? I said, you take her to the vet, and you do what you want to do. You do what you want to do. She decided that, well, since she's pregnant, we'll go through this, and we'll see what we can do with the puppies. She sold each pup, and they're AKC registered, but she sold each pup for, I think, $800 because she was screening for good homes. So let's continue on with that. That's the first. Not true. Or maybe he does not know. He may not know.
So what we have to do is we have to artificially inseminate them. We have to collect the studs. And then on top of that, we have to whelp the litter. So we physically have to put the puppies on the mom. They aspirate a lot out of the nose because they have such a short muzzle. So that requires us every 2 hours to wake up, be with the mom 100% of the time, so we don't sleep for the first 2 to 3 weeks, so.
That's crazy.
It's a lot more complex than really other breeds.
Okay, that is crazy. That guy in the guy in the black said that's crazy, because that is crazy. My daughter, after she had the pups, she ran her to the vet when she went into labor. They did a C-section. The pups all came out alive. I think she had three puppies. The first one was very large, and the other 2 were smaller. Of course, we had a runt. There's usually a runt in every litter, every dog breed. And you buy the bulb, and they did the bulb, and they suck out the nose, the nostrils, and then they get in the mouth a little bit, and they take some of that mucus out of there, and the nose and the mucus. My daughter, on the first night that they came home, because they stayed at the vet, any good veterinarian is going, look, this all costs money. Any good veterinarian is going to keep your French Bulldog there with her puppies for a couple days. And I think they kept her female with the pups there for a couple nights, and to keep an eye on them, make sure everything was fine, that she was feeding, not denying a puppy, not going to lay on a puppy. That's what you worry about more. The mother laying on a pup and suffocating it, crushing it, killing it by accident. It will die, and it happens all the time with every breed of dog. This dog is no exception. But as far as aspiration, if you're talking about 2 weeks of having to do that, no, I've never heard that. That's unheard of. And I rescue dogs. I've had every dog you can imagine in my home, or I have known practically every breed of dog out there that I've rescued and had other people help me. So no, we had a bunch of French Bulldog puppies, and the mother died because the owner thought that the mother was able to deliver. She couldn't. So we rushed her to the emergency clinic one morning, and mom died. And they got pups out, and we had to bottle feed the pups, and we used a little bulb, and we would suck the nose, get that mucus out. For the first night, and before you knew it, we were bottle feeding, and they were eating like little pigs. They did not take 2 weeks. It should never take 2 weeks to have to continue to clean out a dog's nostrils or their mouth or their throat. Never. It's unheard of.
And so within that 2 weeks where you're really taking a lot of care and attention to the dogs, what does that schedule look like from morning to night? What are you doing?
Pretty much I'll stay up till about 5 in the morning, and then my wife will wake up at 7. So she'll do the early morning kind of day feedings.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the night evening feedings.
Dude, that's crazy. I do see always on your Instagram. You're always up late. You're constantly posting, constantly grinding. It's crazy, dude.
Did you see that little fluffy puppy? That's a fluffy French Bulldog. Did you see how far in that nose is? That is a huge concern that ethical, not saying he's unethical, but that ethical French Bulldog owners are starting to have, because they are having to put a lot of money and keep their dogs alive just to breathe. To walk your French Bulldog down the road. Take a look at Lady Gaga. She has French Bulldogs. She loves them. There's pictures of her out there with them. They have noses more like a Boston Terrier. They can breathe. They don't have issues. Maybe some did. I can't go there completely. But that fluffy French Bulldog there looked like one of my daughters, not the color, but the nose. And when it's a pup like that and that head grows, the nose don't come out any farther. It doesn't grow out. It stays that way. So there's a breathing problem. I'm not saying with his dogs. I'm just saying that's where your breathing problems come along. Trying to breathe out of a nose that's pushed in way too far. It's really hard. It's real hard for them to do it. They snore and they snort a lot because they're trying to clear their sinuses all the time to breathe. French Bulldogs do that.
I've done dog breeding in the past. I've done Portuguese water dogs. I would sell these puppies for like $3,000.
Yeah.
But the Frenchie game is a completely different game.
Yeah.
So what's the average amount you sell a dog for, and what's the most amount you've ever sold a dog for?
The most we've sold a dog for is $175,000.
That's crazy.
Crazy. And then we sold another one for $150,000. This guy was actually in federal prison, believe it or not. Yeah, crazy story. I guess the average price I would say is anywhere from like $10,000 to $20,000.
10 to 20,000. 10 to 20K per dog. How many dogs do you think you're getting out in a year?
It just depends, and we got partners too. So everything I have is pretty much a third. So if I sell it for 10, I make 3,300 roughly, right? So it depends on how many females we have coming to heat. But I would say anywhere average between 20 to 50 puppies a year.
That's crazy.
But the studs is where we make the most of our money.
Yeah. So the studs, honestly, I low-key want to hop into that question because that's something that people do not understand.
Yeah.
That is something odd that I heard. First of all, the prices are just, I'm sorry. No. You need to save that money up and keep it because you are probably going to have some vet services you will need for your dog. Okay. Second of all, oh, where was I going with that? I was going somewhere with that. Let's see what they were talking about.
And when you told me for the first time, I was like shocked.
Crazy.
Do you mind talking about that?
Yeah.
Because you said studs for the first time?
Yeah.
The stud dog, male dogs, no, that is not the dog that is the dog that's worth the most money in any breed of dog. It is always the female or the females. They are the ones that have to do all the work. They are the ones that are putting out puppies. Male dogs typically go, if you look anywhere, look on Craigslist. Craigslist is a great place. I've rescued off of Craigslist too. Craigslist, male, just pick a random dog, male Chihuahua, Craigslist, $250, female, $500. Why? The female is able to breed out. The male, you got to find a female and you got to stud him out. But he has his own little breeding farm there, as we call them. So he just, I don't know where he's saying that the male, that the stud is worth more than the female, or why he's saying that. It's the complete opposite with any breed of dog we've ever rescued.
The gym, and I didn't know what you were talking about.
So a stud is pretty much like the male dog, and we collect them, and then we ship out actually their dog semen, right? And people pay anywhere, average price on that's $3,000 to $6,000. That's what we charge. I mean, the boys can work every single day, you know.
So that's why. Okay. So because he's collecting semen from the dogs. Okay, the male, the stud, and he's shipping it out. You don't have to do that. French bulldogs will breed in your home, in your yard. If you have a female who's in season and she's ready to rock and roll, he's ready to rock and roll. They will breed in your home. Like, any backyard breeder. They're just going to breed. There's nothing different about their anatomy when it comes to their hindquarters, except their spine. The spine on them tends to go bad. Remember, that's another problem. But they will breed, and they're very capable of standing on their hind legs, and they're very capable of mounting a female and breeding. It's just what they can do. You don't need to do that. He's making more money that way.
So we've got about 10 to 12 different studs working right now. On average, we have like 2 to 6 stud services a week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
It is crazy.
That's like crazy to me, bro. I heard that for the first time. I was tweaking out.
Yeah.
How did you get into this breeding industry, and when did you realize that was kind of what you wanted to pursue?
So we bought a French bulldog, and that was about 8-9 years ago, and it was our very first dog. Since I've been a kid, my mom's on Beanie Babies, Pokemon stores, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's always been in us to kind of have like a side hustle type thing.
Yeah.
And then once I started seeing the amount of money people are selling dogs,
He's calling this a side hustle kind of thing. In the beginning, it's kind of cool to always have a side hustle kind of thing. Breeding dogs became a side hustle kind of thing for him. Wouldn't you call that a backyard breeder? Of course you would.
for back then they weren't selling for as much. They were 7,000 was a high end, and 20,000 was crazy.
Right.
But still, I'm seeing 20,000 on a dog, and I'm like, that is crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So we just started investing. We got another dog shortly after. My mom was like, "You're dumb." She
That's
didn't
not
want me
my
to spend all
computer.
my money, so she bought a stud.
It's on them.
We partnered up, and then from that point, 5 years ago, we partnered up with my partner Aaron, Texas Elite Frenchies.
Yeah.
And since then, it's just been uphill from there.
Yeah. So initially buying that dog, you didn't even mean for it to be an investment, or you did? Getting into it, you're like, I'm gonna breed the dog.
The first one was a pet. They literally fixed him before we even took him home.
Really?
Yeah, then I was like, we love the breed.
Yeah.
I wanted English, my wife wanted French. We went the French, and then we stuck with the French,
Yeah, that's so sick. Getting into it, like, the prices were low on most of the dogs. It was like average low.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, you're selling dogs for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So how did it get that high? Because I know you've talked to me a lot about like the different DNA switches and stuff like that.
Yep. So back then, DNA wasn't really a thing.
Right.
Blue
Yes,
was
it
the
was.
craziest DNA they had. as time went on, DNA has been evolving, which is still happening today in this time period. So the DNA that you could sell for crazy money this year, next year is going to be depreciated. However, there's always new DNA. So as long as you keep that new DNA added in, is how you kind of stay relevant and make the most money, I guess, from breeding the dogs.
And you've talked to me about like you've been able to create like new DNAs that just had you pop off.
Yep. You had King Kong. King Kong was like the biggest. He was a fluffy at the time that carried this DNA called Isabella. So he was able to produce Isabella fluffies, and no other dog was able to do it at the time. And
That's not true. That's not true. This video goes back 2 years, or so it says. Fluffies were around before then, but what people thought and what they were really thinking was the fact that they were crossbreeding a French bulldog with like a long-haired Chihuahua or some other, a Pomeranian, a fluffy-haired dog. That's what people thought. When in fact, what they were doing is they just, like, out of every breed of dog, you're like, it's hard to explain when he's talking about the DNA, but in every breed, these dogs are carrying a certain gene. And he's talking about fluffies. In order to get a fluffy, who would want a fluffy? Why would you want, look, French bulldogs are not made to be fluffies. AKC does not recognize them in the show ring. They won't, you cannot show them a fluffy French bulldog. But you can register your dog as AKC, a fluffy French bulldog, which they're all over the place. I mean, I've pet them. What's happening is you need a mother, both parents have to carry that gene to get fluffy French bulldog puppies. Now, you can have the father be a short hair, like they were meant to be, and then you can have the mother be a fluffy, and she's still going to carry the gene, but she's probably going to produce short hair French bulldogs. You need two parents that have that fluffy gene. So that's not morphing into anything different or DNA change. That is something that somebody messed with somewhere, and now we have, yes, indeed, they are fluffy French bulldogs. They're a real French bulldog. But when you pull, that's why with any reputable breeder, you have to have DNA paperwork. You have to get the DNA paperwork on your pup. If you're going to pay, especially if you're paying that amount of money, you want everything that you can possibly pull from the breeder and get from the dog. You want everything, mainly DNA. Nowhere in this video does he talk about temperament. One of my daughter's dogs is a biter. He will bite you by the ankle. I wear boots when I go there so he won't bite me by the ankle until he calms down. He is a biter. French bulldogs are good watchdogs. They'll bark. They're good watchdogs. But you know, look, in every dog breed we have, you have to look at temperament and you have to look at health. And I think health, I don't know about temperament. I don't know. But I know about health issues with these dogs. And he's not talking about the fact that, you know, they have a hard time breathing. They snore. They're very high maintenance dog. You wouldn't think so, but they are a very high maintenance dog. Some people will get lucky and the dog just lives in a nice, cool, I mean, the temperature's cool and perfect for them to breathe, and they're fine forever. A lot of people are not that lucky, you know. So, you know, you like I said, you can't walk them in the humidity here. Not right now. You can't. They'll go outside. They'll do their business. They will house train. They do house train if you house train them, and they'll quickly go. Like when I go to my daughter's, and they'll run right back in. They'll run right back in. And another thing, my daughter has a pool, and one of them fell in the pool when she was out there one day. She was swimming. Dog jumped in. Fell in. Looked like he slipped into me, but right to the bottom. They cannot swim because they're very heavy in the head and the front. They cannot swim. they just sink. They sink. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that he doesn't discuss, which I hope he does with people that he's selling to, because to buy a home and more homes that he's going to talk about, and all these cars and stuff, and make your living and quit your daytime job to breed dogs, I'm the one picking it up when someone says, I know I paid a fortune for that French bulldog, but we don't have the money anymore for the vet, so it's going to the shelter or rescue. I am one of them who's picking up that dog and doing everything I can to get it healthy, keep it healthy, and find it a better home and a better quality of life. Now, I don't see any French bulldogs walking around. I would like to see that. That would be great. Are they in a kennel? Are they... I don't know. I didn't watch the whole video because I don't have to. I saw the title. I checked him out. And I said, well, okay, let's just see. I don't want any hate on this guy. I just want to see what's going on, because people who rescue dogs like me, we're picking up French bulldogs now. They are at our shelters. Because why? The biggest reason? I can't keep up with the vet bills. They have problems. They have health problems. And they develop problems like, you see all those little folds of skin? Oh, my daughter's one dog has them so bad that she's always pulling it down and wiping it with a cloth, because they develop a rash, which can get very serious. And you just don't want that, you know? I mean, they have spine problems. They have breathing problems. They have rash problems. They digestive problems that they can only eat certain types of food. I mean, it's just allergies, and they snore a lot. The snoring, she said, at first kept her awake, but she has a white noise machine now, which helps a lot. Her one dog went through surgery due to the breathing issue, where they went in and they scraped away a lot of the bone up in the nasal passage so that her dog could breathe better. That worked. But now here we are. I think her dog, Mojito, is going to be 7. They don't live long. 10 years. If you're lucky, 10. A little over 10. She has scar tissue building up in there now. Guess what? She's going to have to go for another surgery to have the scar tissue built up, taken out. It's, you know, they're lovely dogs. They are. But you have to have your pocketbook put away, or your wallet put away with that money as a just in case for the veterinarian. Because a lot of dogs, and when you're selling dogs at this high price, I would imagine you're pretty much, you know, you see the dog, the pup, you love the pup, you don't know how the pup's going to grow up. I would imagine that him and his partners, whoever they may be, his mom's one, as he said, you're signing your life away. You cannot come back and sue him if any problems develop. And she's...
And either you wanted Fluffies or Isabellas.
Yeah.
I was so heavy on the Fluffies because I was like, those are cute. It's actually different in the, you know, they're soft, they're cute, they're cuddly. So I went the Fluffy route, and then I seen that dog with the Isabella, paid $50,000 for him, and that was the best thing I ever did.
That's awesome. So what is the biggest risk you end up taking your whole career?
So based off the last thing I was talking about, King Kong,
I guess it'd probably be the biggest risk we could, because
at the time nobody was selling dogs for $50,000.
It's not my computer.
Like $20,000 was like a crazy price.
Mm-hmm.
He was a black dog. Nobody wanted to use a black dog.
Right.
And $50,000 was a lot, you know, so my partner didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I was so adamant on doing it. I told him, I said, I'm doing it with you or without you. I want you to be included, but if you're not going to do it, I'm doing it, you know. At the time, I had a corporate job. I was an insurance broker.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just so stressful because they never gave me my raise, you know, and so I was doing the dogs, I was doing the insurance. I was working from home, so it was pretty easy.
Right.
had a stable income, but
the dogs started progressing so much. We were making so much money from the dogs. I was only able to put 2-3 hours a day into corporate.
Right.
And I was still selling way more business than everyone else at the time. It came to a point where I saved up 6 months worth of money for bills.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done. I quit. I just quit my job. And from that day forward, that would probably be the biggest risk I ever took, because I gave up all of my bill money. I only had 6 months worth of pay at the time.
Yeah.
And I figured it out. You know, at that point, the hustle kicked up, and you know, I put it on overdrive.
Do you have any advice for anyone in a corporate job right now?
Wow. So he had a good job. He said he was frustrated because he didn't get a raise. Well, aren't we all? I'm doing this. I'm not frustrated because no one's subscribing. I'm hoping some people will eventually come along and like what I'm doing, because, you know, this is what I love to do. I love to do reaction videos, and if I get hate, so I get hate. I don't care. But I'm not talking bad about this man at all. But when you quit a job, your day job, like I was saying, when you quit a job and you start breeding dogs of all animals for big bucks, and you become like, I don't know, look at the cars, maybe a millionaire or close to it. I mean, look at the dogs, and look at his house, look at the cars. I mean, I don't see any dogs at this point. So I hope they're not in a kennel or blocked off, because he has so many that as he talked that he had a lot, that he's just constantly pumping a litter. Now, I knew a lady, I have a poodle, and I knew a lady who was doing it. I ended up she's in my county. I would not turn this guy in, even if I knew where he lived, and I don't need to know that. But my county has a strict law. You cannot breed dogs, massively breed dogs, and bank on it. You just can't, because every shelter, every rescue, even me here, I have in my lifetime, and my daughter started helping me, but I started at 15 years of age. The first dog I got was a Mastiff, then I got Dobermans, then I got Shepherds. Every big dog nobody wanted, I took. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I had to go through classes with them. Train me to train the dog. Train me to train the dog. Okay, so there has been now, at this point now, over 2,000 dogs. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's what I can do. I'm in a home. 2,000 dogs taken and rescued by me. I could put that video up too. I have the video. It's got a song on it that it may get taken down, but maybe if you subscribe and you look, I'll pop that video up, and in a couple days, and you'll be able to see it. It shows a lot of dogs that I've taken in. One of the first dogs that rolled around was what they call the infamous cane corso. It's a cane corso, and she's sitting with me on a futon, and she's only 5 months old and got a head like a cow already, and she needed training. We did it. We went through it. Her name was Mika. We went through it, and we did it. This is not just a matter of breeding and, oh, here, knock, 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 I've got $2,000. I've got 20,000, and that's not enough. I've got $200,000. Do you have a good dog for me? I have the excellent pup for you, the perfect one. This is the vibe that I'm getting. Just the vibe I'm getting.
Now, but they're looking to get out. They're looking to like pursue something else that they might be more passionate about.
I think the best thing to do is start doing something you're passionate about, start making money from it, and like at least if you could save 6 months and your side hustle is at least making close to or the same as what your corporate gig is making, then you can make that jump, because if you can devote 100% of your time as opposed to 50-50, you're going to be able to do so much more with your life and with your time, and you'll end up spending half the time doing what you love to do, making more money than working for someone else that you hated doing it, you know? So I think the best time to do stuff is when you're young, in your 20s, before your 20s, before you're 30, you know, because once you turn 30, man, you're kind of set
Where you're going, dude, and your life is kind of already
in the trajectory and the path that you're trying to go.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you can't change it, but it's harder to change it, you know? So take the risks while you're young, you know, and a lot of the time they're going to pay off.
Oh.
Come on, my
That's crazy. These are,
Come on, mames.
some of these are fluffies, I guess. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I mean, that's crazy.
So this boy right here is 125,000. This
Boy was 100,000. The cream one.
This one is 150. And then this is our newest one. She was 80,000.
No. Look at the dog from the side. Look how pushed in that muzzle is. Look how pushed in that face is. Please.
She's a velvet, so she's a brand new DNA. Yeah, it's called a velvet horse coat Frenchie.
I mean,
Big old.
no. That's like my daughter's dog who had to have surgery. I mean, no, you want a bit of, they're breeding now to try to, ethical breeders, not saying he's unethical. I'm not going to go there because I don't want hate on him, but no, you have to have the muzzle, the nose has got to be out more to breathe. And if it's a real French bulldog and not mixed, it's going to have bat ears. Bat ears, they are ears that stand up like this. You know, here's one ear. Bat ear, standing up. Their ears should stand up. Their ears should be standing up at that age. Are they?
That is beautiful.
We just got her like 2 weeks ago from the UK.
Wow. A stack of $100,000 dogs. What makes you a standout to the competition in this industry?
Me and my business partner, you know, we're like Kobe and Shaq, bro. Like, not trying to be funny, but we're two very hungry, motivated individuals, dude, that won't lose. You know, we just can't lose. We won't take a loss for an answer, you know. So, our dogs are some of the best. You know, we've had a lot of the best DNA out there. You know, so we've been able to evolve and have some of the
newest DNAs, you know, we've been able to
push those lines, the King Kong line, one of the top 3 biggest in the world right now, you know, so
that's crazy.
There was just a
And then, long ago, back in the, early 90s, there came along the infamous Razor's Edge, or before then maybe, Pit Bull. Hunting breed of dog. I ended up saving one. Now I may be incorrect about, I'm gonna have to go back, so in time here. Too much data in my brain. I've been doing this rescuing since 15 years of age. I'm now in my 60s. So going back in time, it was Razor's Edge, and they were a hunting breed. They were pit, but they were bred to hunt. The people who brought her to me, she was not spayed. First of all, you do not take male and female dogs out on a hunt for hogs that the females are not spayed. They have to be fixed, okay? Your males have to be fixed, okay? So they can focus on what they're doing. A hog will kill a pit bull, will kill 2, 3 pit bulls. They are big where I live, and they will fight, and they will kill them. So you don't want a female that could be coming, just starting to come into her, you know, time to breed, and you don't know it yet. But the male does, because he could smell the pheromones, and you don't want that distraction. So we had the Razor's Edge, and they were supposedly like the best pit bull terrier to breed with. They were long-legged, made to run fast. They had big heads for power, and they had the jaws to match it, to hang on and not let go. I had one that was given to me. Her name was Felony. And then I had another one who was a male. She was not spayed. And I had a male who was not neutered named Gandhi. And he was a white one. She was a black one. And Gandhi had a hairline fracture when I took him to the vet. He was a little bit beat up. And that was from hogs, not other dogs, they had said, the former owners. And Felony was running around the yard at my house because, hey, you let your dogs out in the yard, right? And she was wanting to kill everything in sight. Totally out of control. Totally out of control. completely. Look, dogs have to be I don't care how small your dog is. They have all over TikTok and on YouTube how cute it is when a Chihuahua is, oh, my dog is so well behaved, and the Chihuahua is just like, rah, rah, rah. That's not funny, because a dog bite is a dog bite, and it will still put you in court. You know, so dog bites are not funny. So when he's talking about this line of dog that he's in the French Bulldog, that's going to be just a passing line. These are just fancy names they put out to make more money. To make more money. They still have the same attributes as every other French Bulldog in the brain. They still do. You know, they may look a little different. The nose may be pushed in more. The legs may be a little, those legs are awful stubby. Like, wow, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. But they still have the same brain because they are still a French Bulldog. It's just a different name. It's just a different name with a dog that needs training, a pup that needs training to be a good canine citizen in the future. So he's not talking about any of these dogs, his love for the dogs, his caring for the dogs. He talks about DNA and breeding, the money he makes, you know, it's all about that. But what about the poor animals? What about the person that comes up that just robbed somebody, got away with it, moved to wherever the heck he lives, and wants to get a French Bulldog, and he sells him one? Do you think he does a background screening? He doesn't talk about that at all. So, you know, you have to screen people who, just like with a rescue, we have to screen like crazy. And then for a whole year, we have to follow up every few months. I know we're a pain in the butt when we do it, but we have to make sure that the dog is still well taken care of, that the dog is still in the home. We have to do a home check. And if they don't want the dog has to be returned back to us. That is our policy. That is our paperwork. And the dog is all vetted out. They are altered. They are current on all their vaccinations. They are healthy, and they can go to a good home. A home that fits them. An older dog will not be around children. Tiny French Bulldog puppies, I firmly believe, should not be around small children, because it's easy to fall on one. You have a big problem then. It's easy to pick one up and drop it on its head. Their heads are very heavy. Oh gosh, you got a problem then. So you have to fit these dogs in the proper home. But to me, he sounds more like this is his job. He doesn't even sound like it. He's admitting it. This is his job now. He quit his job. This is his job. This is how he has his fancy cars, as he showed in the beginning, and this is his life. Breeding poor French Bulldogs. Poor little dogs. Just poor little dogs.
Off the leash media post that came out with like the top 10 bloodlines in the world, and King Kong they had for number 3.
That's
you
crazy.
know, so
It's not
the
crazy.
fact that we have such a big network, we've had a lot of breeders want to buy into our program and want to buy our bloodline, you know, so having the King Kong
Bloodline in specific is a
very big statue. It's a big deal, you know, in the community. So a lot of the times people aren't going to want to go to the people that used King Kong. They're going to want to go to the people that own King Kong,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. You got to a point where you literally are top of the industry that you work on.
Yeah.
Like very top, and that must be like a surreal feeling.
Yeah, it's cool because we got partners.
So what he's saying is he's breeding, like he's got the King Kong line. You talked about Isabella. He's breeding for some sort of change in look, or what most people look for is color, change in color. So he's altering DNA. Is essentially what he's doing. He's altering DNA, and he's breeding for look, like big head King Kong. I don't know, huffy King Kong, or color. And it don't seem to really be color. I've seen those fluffy French Bulldogs. They have stubby little legs, and they're pups. I get it, but they're definitely weaned. They're eating, and they're kept behind a gate in his home. And I find that sad because they're for sale, but they are part of his family. They are part of his family. You have to socialize them with the family. Now, maybe they're just back there because that guy's there right now. I don't know. But the best thing to happen would be to let them out and have one of the pups in that guy's lap while he's talking. You know, socialization is a huge part of everything we do with dogs. We get so many little dogs that are nippers and biters. I'm having to keep the poodle because he is not going to be adoptable because he bit. He bit 2 people, and I don't laugh about that. I laugh about the fact that I told them he will probably bite. Oh, but I'm great with dogs. No, I think he's going to really bite. Oh, but dogs love me. And people just don't listen. And they get bit, and then you wonder why. So this guy sounds like he's mixing DNAs and altering, and he doesn't say. King Kong brings out a lot in my mind, but not color, because black dogs are very hard to adopt out. You can rescue them all day long. Mine's black that I got, and nobody wants a black dog. Nobody wants a black cat because it's all just superstition. Nobody just wants a black. They want the pretty of the pretty. And black dogs are not pretty to a lot of people. So I heard what he said earlier, that no one wanted to pair it up. A friend didn't want to pair up with him with the black because people just don't care for black dogs too much. But I do. And a lot of people, I'm sure, out here do. But it seems like he's altering DNA somehow, some way. And we're not talking about that part, I don't think.
There's all over the world, you know, like we even have a partner in the UK. So Tony Hill and Joe French, there's some of probably the biggest guys in the UK. But we just started working together because we're some of the biggest in
America.
Yeah, right. Like, why not just try to join forces and make like
just a huge empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. How has dog breeding grown your network, and how have you been able to use that to your advantage?
On the regular, I talk to people from the UK literally every single day. We talk on the phone. You know, I talk to people from literally every country. We've sold
dogs to Germany, we've sold dogs to the UK,
we've sold dogs to Canada, we've sold dogs to Mexico, we've sold dogs to, I mean, there's so many different countries that we've sold dogs to. And
so he's shipping dogs. They're not coming to see them. They see pictures and they see videos, and he's shipping. Come on.
And I guess it's helped my network because I've been able to connect with a lot of famous people, you know, like, but for example, Ezekiel Elliott, it's one of my good friends, dude. We talk pretty frequently, you know, so when he came down for to play the Cowboys, now he's with the Patriots, you know, he got me a jersey and everything, so, you know, it's cool. It's cool to have relationships like that, you know.
That's so crazy.
I got another buddy that plays for the Vikings right now, Patrick Jones II, number 91. You know, so he actually just used my stud. He should be having a litter off our dogs pretty
soon.
So he's in the NFL right now, and he's trying to get into the breeding industry.
Yeah.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah, bro. He was playing last night. He was playing Sunday Night Football, dude. He got a couple quarterback hits. He hit Russell Wilson twice, and then he got a good tackle. So
that's crazy.
It's pretty cool to be able to connect with people like that.
Yeah,
you know?
You were able to like spread out your subsidiaries that much to the point where like you dog breeding.
Yeah.
And then you got into real estate. What did that look like?
We've kind of done like where we'll buy a house, live there for a year, buy a different house, rent that one out, pay that one off, and then buy a different house. And we've done that a couple times, you know, where we've been able to pay off a couple homes while living in it, and then move to a new home, and then we keep growing, you know what I'm saying? But that's how we've done it personally. We've kind of done it, not the traditional route, but we try to do it just with what we had at the time.
Just as you're going along, you just figure it out.
Just smart investments.
Right,
dude.
exactly.
Use your money wisely, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the best financial advice you've ever received in your lifetime?
So, to be honest with you, my family was broke. We didn't have nothing, so we didn't really have good financial advice to give. So I've really not received much, dude. But like as I've grown and as I've gone on, you know, some things I've learned is stay within your means. You know, don't buy unnecessary stuff, especially if it's going to affect your income, you know. So I always think it's smart, before you want to buy something crazy,
Right.
have at least 6 months to a year stashed away of your money.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're gonna make an investment when you're young, as long as it's an investment that's actually gonna make you money, take it, bro. Don't worry about the risks.
Right.
You know, but if you're established and you have bills to pay and a house to provide for, a family to provide for, you know, make sure that that investment is not gonna bankrupt you and not
Right.
cause you to lose your home and your assets.
and everything, you know. So, and if
It is, make sure you've got some backup asset that can compensate for the loss that you're about to take.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
So, for example, you know, I've got the supercars and stuff. You know, like I've never bought a car unless I could pay for it cash, pretty much. You know,
Of course.
If
Sure.
you can't pay for it cash, you shouldn't have it.
Yeah, totally.
Like the watch, I was kind of forced to buy this
Yeah.
stuff. You know, like my business partner's like, bro, I got it. Like, I'm gonna sell it or you could buy it. And I'm like, you know what? I put it on and I'm like, oh, shit, I need this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so fire.
But I'm not a big flashy person, you know. I don't really like buying stuff unless I've got a lot of reserves to compensate.
Totally.
you know, so
Stay within your means. Don't buy things that are gonna, don't try to impress. Don't buy
Right.
things to impress. Buy things if you can actually afford them, you know?
Right.
And instead of buying things, make investments and use those investments to buy the things that you want, you know?
A lot of people say it's a lot harder to budget your money to the point where you can save $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to do that than it is to come up with a way to make an extra grand a month.
Yeah, because it's a lot of stress and time that you take into trying to budget and stuff like that. Where if you take that same amount of time and figure out, shit, dude, there's so many ways to make money.
Yeah, dude.
But you just take that time that you're spending towards that and put it towards something that could make you money.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna do it.
Have you ever been broke before? I know you mentioned
Yep.
you have before.
Yep.
And what was the story kind of behind that?
Yeah, man, I was young and kind of got into some bad things, dude. And I was actually a homeless dope fiend, dude, like 12 years ago. You know, my older brother kind of showed me a few bad things, dude, and kind of led me into a really dark path, dude. And so, you know, I was homeless for a little bit, and you know, obviously I was a junkie. Turned myself into jail on just a little Class B misdemeanor. It was something so minor. And then sat in jail for 2 months, got out, went to rehab for 2 months, and I got out, started working at
Sonic, believe it or not.
Then I was like, man, I was really into working out, so I started becoming a trainer. And then as I was the trainer, then I was like, I kept trying to progress my life, right? So then I went into being a corporate insurance broker, and then did that for a while. And that was about the same time when I bought a dog, right when I started doing insurance.
So he was doing good. I mean, he worked his way up from working at Sonic's, which we all know without it, pretty much, you know, it's a hot dog place and milkshakes and all that stuff. And then, you know, he became a trainer, which is very good for him to be a trainer, helping other people. That's, you know, you're helping others, and that's something that's good. And then he became he worked in insurance, and that is a corporate job. That's a job where you can move up a ladder working in insurance. There are so many different levels of insurance within the same company that you can move up to, where you can literally become a leader, a manager, whatever you want, and you just got to work and you do it. But for some reason it wasn't good enough for him, and I don't know how. Let's see, I'm not sure how he got into what made him get into breeding dogs for a living.
And when I started doing the insurance, I started doing the dogs, you know, the dogs started picking up, like I told you a little bit ago. Quit the insurance, and then the dogs continue to pick up. From that point, it went from here to freaking the moon, you know, and we just...
There you go. You breed it once, you breed one dog. Now, when he says that, I'm almost pretty sure he had them breed naturally. They bred naturally. Because he didn't know. You see, he had a pet that was already neutered and all that. But then he got some dogs, and this is guesswork. I don't know if he knew that they can actually breed themselves. They will breed. And he got hooked. He realized, I can stay at home. I can make money if I get... You only need one male. really you only need one male, but I'm sure he has more than one stud. But you need numerous different females. You do. And if you have 2 or 3 litters going at once and they're growing, that's a lot of money. And that's not fair to the animals, because it's not fair to the animals that are, to the French bulldogs who are suffering and who are in shelters now. And they are, believe me, they are, and in rescues. And, you know, somebody pays the money for his dogs, and, you know, they just can't afford it anymore because something goes wrong, and they can't go back to him. And why would he want it back? It's going to cost him money. So I heard him say, live within your means. That's going outside of his means, pretty much, to take a dog back because it has health issues, and it's going to cost him quite a bit of money to fix. I don't think he'd want that. And the dog would probably maybe be fixed, spayed or neutered, who knows? I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. He wouldn't want it back because it's no use to him if it's a dog that has developed problems. French bulldogs have the most health problems out of all the dogs. French bulldogs, they, you know, remember the big bulldog with the teeth all over, and they can't breathe either. I mean, they have problems, and I'm quite sure this is, I don't know, he's a hardcore breeder. You know, when he talks the way he talks, he sounds like a nice guy. I think he got caught up in something that he really, it's extremely unethical, and it's extremely, when we have dogs out there that are dying, they're being put down because they have stayed in the shelter for 3 months. You know, tomorrow's your last day, buddy. I'm sorry if you don't get adopted. We're going to euthanize you. That's sad. That is very sad, but that's reality. And then you have people out there who I never even knew people like him would exist that hardcore on French bulldogs of all dogs that are just not a healthy breed. Can be, but, and a lot of them are, but the majority of them, something pops up, and, you know, they're sensitive stomachs, they're just a lot of problems. And when I saw the pups quick, I just immediately wanted to see their faces. Thank God I did. They are so pushed in. And as the head grows, the nose don't grow out. So I don't know what he's breeding for. You know, you want to breed for health. You want to breed, number one, you want to breed for health. Number two, you want to breed for temperament. You know, and on top of that, you just want to breed for everything else good that comes along with a good dog. And health and temperament are the top 2 things. Health and temperament. And that matters, but as he talks, he's a breeder. He's a hardcore breeder.
My time, you know, time is very valuable. So having the extra time to spend on the dogs and marketing and all the other stuff led to so much more money. Scum of the earth, to working at Sonic, you know, a shitty job, to working at a trainer, which is still kind of entry level, you know. I mean, it's you know, out of college kids and stuff. It's not really like a career for most people. And then I went into like a career choice, and then at the same time I was going into doing something that like I wanted to do, you know, because I always had a dream of doing dog breeding for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
that's crazy.
I was just talking to my roommate after I got out of rehab. I moved in with this dude right as I met my wife. And we had a little pit bull at the time. And I was like, bro, I'm gonna breed dogs. Like, I just had it in my mind. I was gonna breed dogs. It just was in my mind. I was literally talking to him yesterday. I was like, bro, I manifested this shit, dude. I really did. But then the dogs started taking off, and then it was like, during COVID, it was the craziest shit ever, bro. I mean, every month we made minimum 100K every month. anywhere from like 100 to 250,000 a month, every month, and we were just killing it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's the time you want to be a little flashy when you first start making.
So how many puppies do you think he was breeding out for 100K every month during COVID? Continually, every month during COVID. Yeah, a lot. He was breeding out a lot. Well, he wasn't breeding. He was having them artificially inseminated with a stud dog that he has. Their semen. That's a lot of dogs. Sorry, that's too much. And that's... Does anybody besides me think that breeding dogs and buying a house that looks like is a mansion, and buying all these very expensive cars, and you're living in a gated home or community and whatever else he has, the very flashy watch and just all that, but yet there's no dogs running around the home to sit in the lap. Dogs are family. Even the pups, they have to be socialized. And it would be nice to see a couple of them there instead of just briefly. Briefly, we get to see 3. Briefly. And that's it. And they're behind a gate. I don't keep my dogs that way. They have to get along in my home, or one will go in the crate for a little while, and then it comes out, and then the other one goes in the crate. But we don't throw them behind fences or gates and not. But look, especially puppies. Puppies get along with puppies naturally. Mom shows them how to live, how to survive, and how to play, and not be too rough with each other. Puppies are going to scuffle. Okay, it's a puppy scuffle. They'll work it out. They're not going to hurt each other. Adult dogs, it's different. But pups, and those are pups, they need to be out. I would like to see them in the video. They need to be out, but it kind of looks like he doesn't really want to show them on the video. Maybe not. I could be wrong, but not those 3. Right away, people who know French bulldogs know that their faces are just, I'm sorry, not matching up with the head. The nose is not. Come on.
The money, dude, and then it's like you start realizing that this shit came so fast, it can go just as fast as it came, right? And a lot of people don't realize that, but for me, I know what it feels like to be a piece of shit. Excuse my language, but I know how it feels. So it's led me to a different approach with money, with wealth, with stuff like that, because it's led me to be more of a humble person,
right, exactly.
More gracious, loving, kind. If I see a homeless dude, I give him money. Yeah. I try to give positive messages to, even on my social media, to kids, to freaking anybody I see. I just try to be like a positive influence and role model, whether it's the words I say, the advice I give, what I do for the community, what I do for people. I just try to be, for me, a good person, because you put good energy comes, if you're a negative person, negative things come, so for me, just being a positive person, being a positive man, a positive mind, trying to be a good father, trying to be a good husband, trying to be a good friend, all those things, for me is important, so the money's cool, but dying and knowing I'm gonna go to heaven and be a good person, and I'm gonna be remembered as, man, that was a really kind, gracious person. To me, that's a bigger deal, So thankfully, by the grace of God, I've been, by being kind and gracious, sometimes, people do take advantage of it. Of course. Good things always come from it though, so, because at first when you start making the money, you're like, oh man, it feels good. You almost feel empowered a little bit.
Your ego is bound.
It does. It kind of messes with your ego for a second, bro. And you're like, dude, I feel like you just feel different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not no different. And so, like, I guess at first I started to feel a little different. I just started to get a smidge of an ego. And then I checked it real quick, bro. And I was like, man, that's not me, 1. Yeah. And 2, it never leads to good things, bro, because nobody likes it. So you met me at the gym. There's no way you thought I was rich or wealthy or had money or anything of the sort, bro, because I don't carry myself like that, exactly. And that's kind of how I want to be personally in my life,
Do you think you need college to be successful?
Well, I think he does carry himself that way, because I'm quite sure he drives one of his flashy cars to the gym. That's a giveaway. I'm pretty sure that he has that watch on, takes it off, to the gym. there's just those two things right there. That's all you need to show that you're a flashy guy, that you have money. The car that you're driving, the watch that you have on, men know those watches. They know they're expensive. They know, and everybody knows the cars. So, I mean, yeah, he's a flashy guy.
It's kind of a two-sided question. Not everybody needs college to be successful. However, I personally do recommend college for most people, because what college gives you that nothing else the real world is going to give you is connections. There's going to be someone that you go to college with that's going to make it. It's just inevitable. There's no way it won't happen. So I didn't do college, and I mean, I do think it's good for most, but not everybody needs it.
For this last question, what does success mean to you?
Yeah.
And what is the bridge between success and fulfillment?
Yeah. So there's different types of success. There's success like, oh, you made it financially, be able to provide for your family. And then there's also the branch of success where, hey, like, I want a good relationship with my family and with everybody around, you know? Right. So I've said it a million times, and I swear this is true. I would give up all this to have a relationship with my family. You know, right. My mom, my dad, my brothers, all that. That's way more important to me than the money. Like, because at the end of the day, that's all I really got. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a lot of friends, dude. So my family is very valuable and important to me. Yeah. Success, in my opinion, is all of it put together. You know what I'm saying? You can be successful in this aspect, but then you don't have a good family life, and then it's like, where's the balance, you know?
Right, exactly.
You're not getting the balance to where you have the good family life, good relationships, you know, you don't have any issues with people, but you also have the financials. To me, I think that makes like a well-rounded success.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of how I guess I see it personally.
Yeah. Bro, honestly, that's it for the interview.
Cool.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Man, I appreciate you guys, dude.
I appreciate you, bro.
This guy's about to go do a crazy cool mission. Yeah. You know, send some prayers for this dude. I've always liked this kid since he came in the gym, dude. He's got a great spirit and a great head on him, dude. And you know, I know you're headed for some great things.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching the video. I couldn't be more pleased with how the first video went. That was perfect. He answered the questions great. I think we had good questions lined up. And let me know if you have people like in the Dallas area who you think I should do next, questions you want me to ask, industries you want me to get into, and anything like that. Any sort of support helps as well. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Darcy. You know, this ain't no French bulldog, but sit. Yeah, she do tricks. Oh, she's back. She don't do tricks. For anyone who does.
Okay, so we're there. The end. I'm not gonna sit here and show the car. We don't need to do that. That was it. You know, it kind of sounds like he doesn't have a very good relationship with maybe someone in his family or a few people in his family. I don't know, but because that's what he says is important to him. But did you notice that the video is about he's the biggest dog breeder in the USA, and he doesn't talk about his dogs when he talks about caring or loving or what's important to him. What would be important to me is, yes, I have an excellent relationship with my daughter. I have an excellent relationship with my ex. I have an excellent relationship with my landlord. I have friends. He says he doesn't have many friends, I believe. Many. I have friends. They're not going to throw me money, but I have friends. I'm that kind of person. I don't think they look down at me and say, well, she's driving around in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Pantera or, you know, any of them cars, because that right there is not a problem. Or a Corvette, a new Vet. I think they're really good looking. That is not a problem. That's not a problem. People, you work hard and you get the car you want. You work hard, you get the house you want. You know, you work hard and you know, you get the house with the pool and the fence and whatever you want. But is breeding dogs a job? It's a job now. It's a job. It's a job to him. He quit a job in insurance where you can move up the ladder and make good money. He quit when he figured out that he can make a heck of a lot more money just breeding dogs. Not even breeding, artificially inseminating and sending off the semen to the UK and Germany and wherever else to many people. So, and pups, shipping puppies wherever he will. I would never, first of all, buy any pup or dog, if I were to buy one, without seeing the animal first, looking it over, and kind of like you want to take a car, if you buy a used car, to your mechanic to have him check it out, you want to see the papers on the dog. And you know, I'm not saying he's a fraud. He's certainly not a fraud. He's proud of what he's doing, but is it ethical or is it unethical? That's my question. Is it ethical or unethical what he's doing? Living off of breeding dogs, and someone who comes along with the money. He didn't talk about screening. He didn't talk about any of the important things that matter to dogs. Just because someone pays $150,000 for a dog doesn't mean they're going to give it the best life. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Not at all. So we have to think about that. But what it may mean is they will give it the best life they can. It also means they have saved money. They have found the best dog with the best DNA that's going to be healthy throughout and live a long life. And they're going to buy it with their savings. You know, the hardworking blue-collar people, blue-collar workers. And they buy it, and then they come to find out one night they're rushing their dog off to the vet because, say, it had an issue of some sort. French bulldogs, I will say it again, they are the number one dog to have health problems of many kinds. Many kinds. And breathing is a big one. And aside from breathing, there are many other ones. You know, there are just many that are not even mentioned. A veterinarian will tell you better than anybody. They've seen it all with French bulldogs. They've seen it all. And what are these people going to do? They've just spent $150,000 on one of his dogs. They signed away on the dog. He's not going to help them because you bought one of my dogs. I'm sorry this happened. You know, this has never happened before kind of thing, maybe. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm coming from the other side. He's on one side of the door, I'm on the other side of the door. And that is, you know, he's living off of breeding dogs and playing with DNA, mind you. I don't like that. And I'm coming from the other side of, we now have so many French bulldogs that had, when pit bulls rolled around, same thing. When Doberman pinschers rolled around, same thing. German shepherds, same thing. They were ending up in shelters. They were ending up in rescues. Now we have French bulldogs that are ending up aggressive. They're ending up with health problems. They're ending up in shelters because people say, I'm tossing in the towel. I can no longer do this. This dog is expensive. This dog is just costing me a fortune every time I turn around. It's just that way. So, at the end of my video, I'm going to go ahead and put up a picture of my daughter's 3 French bulldogs. The black one is going to look a little strange because she has had surgery and she's due to go to have scar tissue removed from her surgery to open her nose and her passages more, and so she could breathe. So she could breathe better. She's still a mouth. Dogs do not breathe out of their nose. They breathe out of their mouth. She's still a mouth breather when she sleeps because the scar tissue's built up. And my daughter didn't know. She didn't know. And she bought them when she didn't live so close to me. She lived farther away, and then she moved closer to me where I could see her dogs, and 2 of them have health problems. The third one, Marlowe, she's a Merle, absolutely beautiful, but she got too big. They're all AKC registered, but they should not be over 12 inches. They should not be. Yeah, they should not be over 12 inches, I believe. And that's off the top of my head, but Marlowe grew too big. So she's thinking that Marlowe, not pulling a DNA, that Marlowe may be mixed with something else, because she's very huffy and big, and she looks like she has bulldog in there, not pit bulldog, but the bulldog in there with the French bulldog. And her other two are within their size range, as they should be. Nice legs, built nice, but Marlowe is the only one that has a nose that comes out properly. My daughter said she is not a snorer for the most part. She will sometimes, and she tolerates outside well, wants to stay out more in the grass than the other two. And the other two have like his pups, and her pups looked like his pups when she got them. She sent me pictures, she sent me videos. So this is where we're at. Is this right or is this wrong? Should anybody, because look, animal services, they're everywhere. They're in every state, they're in every county in the United States. And if they find out about backyard breeders or people who are breeding dogs for big money and making a living off of them, there's a fine line there. There's a fine line. And I don't want anybody to hate on this guy. You can hate on me all you want. I'm coming from the other side. I'm saying he seems like a nice guy. He seems kind. But in the video, you would like to see, and I kept saying that, why can't you have these pups be a part of what you're talking about in the home, sitting down? That's socialization. I saw when they went to the fence that one ran away. They need to be socialized now. And the one gentleman was able to pick the one up, and the one was fearful at first, and I'm thinking, do they just live behind a gate? I could see where the wall is chewed on down there on the trim. No, we don't do this. We don't do this. I get it, but there are big pens, big round children pens that you can put these pups in, and they can be where you are, and they can be playing and still see people. That's me. You're coming from a rescuer's, my mind, and what I would do, and what I do. And then you're coming from a large breeder, the so-called biggest breeder in the USA, and I'm not so sure he's that. I just think that he spent the money because he's asking a lot of money, and he's partnered up with people that he has spent the money on toys. The cars, the expensive cars. He's not a flashy guy, but yet he is a flashy man. That's the only thing. He's a flashy man. You pull up to the gym and, I'm not a flashy man, but you got that very expensive watch and you have these very expensive cars, and that's flash. I'm sorry, but that's flashy. And the home you live in, and with the fence around it, and that's flashy. He has other dogs. Looked like a older lab, yellow lab. And there was a black dog in the background that I couldn't see, but had a long hair on the tail. So, he has other dogs, but he found that he's going to find out that this is going to die down. And this video says 2 years ago, but I don't know when it was put up for real. But the French bulldog thing is already dying down. When you start seeing them in shelters, and rescues are calling, asking if you can take another dog, and it's a French bulldog that's growling at everybody, or it's hoarding toys and you can't get near it. No. Now we have a French bulldog problem too. And it's going to die down. What dog is next? What dog is up and coming next that is going to be the dog that people are going to make money off of and live? But what he's doing is clever. He's messing with DNA. And a lot happens when you mess with DNA and you breed dogs. But he is wrong. Or maybe he just doesn't understand. French bulldogs will breed on their own. You don't even need to be there. They're going to breed. They're going to breed. She can't give birth. She needs a C-section to get the pups out, but they will breed. So that's a fallacy there. That's not true at all. He's just using sperm probably from other dogs in other countries or something and mixing with DNAs. And, you know, there's one thing about this. I'm not saying this guy's doing this at all. A lot of people do. I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to end it. They do take French bulldogs and they do mix them now to look like a fluffy French bulldog with a small fluffy dog, or sort of fluffy dog. They do. And therefore you get what appears to be a fluffy French bulldog. You may not get papers. Now with these dogs, I'm sure he's getting papers. And fluffy bulldogs are real, yes. But there are some tricksters out there who will do this. They will fake you out and say, well, they're not registered, but I have a fluffy bulldog I'll sell you. And it's actually a French bulldog crossed with a long-haired Chihuahua, which gave it a little bit of fluff. Seriously, you have to do your homework. Understand, I'm coming from that area where I know since 15 years of age, and I'm now in my 60s, I have seen it all. This guy seems to be the real deal, but I don't like the fact that the pups were not out with them, or a pup out with them to be socialized. I don't like the fact that one looked fearful when the one guy in the black who was interviewing him walked up and backed off. And I don't like the fact that he says you have to artificially inseminate them. They cannot breed out. Yeah, they can. And they will. Yeah, they will. Yes, they will. And I don't like the fact that he says I'm not a flashy guy. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. But all that has nothing to do with the dogs. That's just who you are. And that's okay, who you are. Again, no hate on him. No hate at all. You're just talking about a woman. You're listening to a woman who rescues. And I'm talking about a man who's making a living. Bought that house. Bought other houses. Bought all the flashy cars. Bought that expensive watch. And God knows what else. Off of dogs. Okay. Need I say more? No. Please like, subscribe. Please subscribe, and you'll get to see the videos that are going to be undercover pretty soon. They will be for subscribers only, and I'm working on that for maybe Monday evening or Tuesday evening. Back to music that I love to do. But I have to get my subscribers, so I told you, like my header says, it's just a little bit of everything. I do a little bit of everything. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Again, no hate on that man. I don't hate anybody. I may not agree with what he's doing. I may have my own opinions. That's okay. He's entitled to his. He gave them. I'm entitled to mine. I gave mine. You're talking about two people who should come together and have a conversation. Why? I'm a rescuer. My daughter has 3 French bulldogs. That is going to be it will be shown. You will see it. So just wait for this I got to edit this. And when it comes up, you will see the picture of her 3 French bulldogs, and then you're coming from a breeder's point of view, like the biggest breeder in the United States of America for French bulldogs, and someone who's telling you they have a lot of health problems, a lot, and I don't breed, period. Never did, I never will. Thank you. Have a nice evening, and it's getting very late, and there's thunder. Where is my mouse at? It's stuck. There's thunder. Okay. Like, subscribe. Please subscribe, please. And I'll bring you more good videos.